In this video, I'm going to go through what the analysis is about and how to analyze your arrow diagram. After you've made your graphs, you now need to analyze your graphs. So this is where you describe and explain key features of each of the graphs you just created for your data section. In our school, we use the Peel structure, which is an acronym for how to write your argument. And so P stands for point, E is explanation of your point in context, the third E is the evidence to support your point, and the L is a link to wider thoughts or research about a topic. It's a link to the context somehow. So we're going to use this for each of our pieces of analysis to structure our argument. So, analysing an arrow diagram. You've got to count how many arrows are sloped to the right, straight down, or to the left. If they slope to the right, there was an increase in the response variable when participants received the treatment compared to the control. And if they slope to the left, there was a decrease in the response variable. If it goes straight down, there wasn't any change. Here's an example. This is looking at people's heart rate after having an energy drink compared to just at rest. You can see each of these arrows are all sloping from the top to the bottom to the right. All of them are going to the right. So that means that we went from a lower heart rate to a higher heart rate because it went up the scale. So that's how you describe what's happening. Point and explanation is that from the arrow graph we can see all students showed an increase in their heart rate after consuming an energy drink. Our evidence is that all 20 pairs of data have arrows sloping to the right, showing that the heart rate increased after consuming an energy drink. And your link to the context might be that you expected this to happen because the energy drinks can make your blood vessels narrower, causing your heart to beat harder and faster to pump blood around the body. And there's a link to the research that claims that. So there's one example. I'll show the example for our heart rate and exercise. This is how you might put it into your report. I've changed this to data and analysis so that we can analyse each graph after we've put it, rather than having a separate section, which doesn't really make sense because you have to go backwards and forwards. So I've just put the analysis underneath the graph. So in this graph here, you can see there's lots of arrows going to the right, but there's also a few going to the left. It's hard to see how many arrows are going to the right and going to the left. So what you can do is you can use your sheet and you can see from previously, this one's dark but it's the same sheet, my blue differences are positive and my pink are negative. So that means if they're blue, it's positive, it's gone to the right. And you can see there's only 3 that are pink, so there's only 3 that are negative and going to the left. So I've got, out of my 30 participants, 27 are blue, so their arrows pointing to the right, and 3 are pink, which are negative, so their arrows pointing to the left. And that relates to that graph there. It's hard to see, but there's 27 arrows pointing to the right from top to bottom and 3 pointing to the left. And none of the arrows are pointing straight down. So you can say, from the arrow graph, I can see that the majority of participants experienced an increase in their heart rate after exercising compared to at rest. 27 arrows are sloping to the right, showing an increase in heart rate for the 12 MAT2I students after exercising compared to at rest. 3 arrows are sloping to the left to show a decrease, and 0 arrows are pointing straight down to show there was no difference in their heart rate. So most of the arrows sloped to the right, so they showed an increase in the heart rate, but there were 3 that sloped to the left, showing a decrease. It's important to include the participants in here, because you are talking about this in context. So the context is that these were 12 MAC2I students doing this experiment, looking at heart rate for exercising compared to at rest. And we have numerical and visual evidence in here. It's arrows sloping to the right, that's your visual evidence, and the 27 is your numerical evidence. So those are just giving a really good argument for what you're saying in this analysis. So there's the example of the arrow diagram. As always, as I may have not mentioned this before in previous videos, but there is also a template you can use in the accompanying booklet or assignment that goes with these videos. So if you need to use that, then feel free, because that kind of covers most of what you should be able to talk about in this. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video looking at dot plots and box and whisker graphs.